Today, SBF claims he did not try to commit fraud. Crypto exchange Kraken lays off more than 1,000 employees. And Samir Tabar of Bit Digital lays out the benefits of using cold storage wallets versus crypto exchanges. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Digital currencies were mixed to kick off the last month of the year. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin fell by 0.4% to a little less than $17,000. Ether dropped by 1.5% to $1,200. And the Matic token rose by more than 1% to 92 cents. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. In his first interview on camera since the implosion of FTX, the company's founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, said that he, quote, didn't ever try to commit fraud. Crypto hedge fund Alameda Research, which he also founded, allegedly mixed FTX customer funds with trading funds. Now, speaking remotely with Andrew Ross Sorkin at the New York Times Dealbook Summit yesterday, the former billionaire responded to that claim saying, quote, I didn't knowingly commingle funds.
We lost track of a really important part of the business and of the product. And so there absolutely were management failures, huge management failures. I bear responsibility for that.
The former billionaire said he was down to $100,000 and had one working credit card left after having a, quote, bad month. Investigations into what happened at FTX continue to mount. In fact, the U.S. Senate Agriculture Committee is holding a hearing today to examine the sudden collapse of what was once one of the world's biggest crypto exchanges. SBF acknowledged yesterday that his lawyers didn't want him to talk publicly and thought it was a bad idea, but he said that he wants to speak because it's his duty to explain what happened and to, quote, try to do what's right.
How concerned are you about criminal liability at this point?
So I don't think that, I mean, obviously I don't personally think that I have, but I think the real answer is that's not, it sounds weird to say, but I think the real answer is that's not what I'm focusing on. There's going to be a time and a place for me to sort of think about myself and my own future, but I don't think this is it.
Next, crypto exchange Kraken laid off more than 1,000 employees as the FTX fallout continues to impact the industry. Now, that's about 30% of all staff at the world's third largest crypto exchange by volume. Kraken co-founder Jesse Powell said yesterday that the move was a reaction to current market conditions. In a blog post, Powell wrote that slowing growth was caused by macroeconomic and geopolitical factors, which softened customer demand, lowered trading volumes, and reduced signups. Powell said the company tripled its workforce recently, and the layoffs bring the team size back to where it was 1 year ago. He added that he's, quote, extremely bullish on crypto and Kraken. Now, Kraken is not the only crypto exchange cutting costs amid the so-called crypto winter. Crypto.com laid off 2,000 employees in October, and last month, Barry Silbert's digital currency group reduced its team by about 13%. Last, 21 people were just charged in a huge global crypto money laundering bust. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Texas made the announcement yesterday, noting that the scheme stole from thousands in the U.S. and largely targeted elderly people. Law enforcement officials said an annual flow of more than $300 million in laundered transactions has been disrupted, along with the seizure and forfeiture of millions in cash and crypto. Secret Service resident agent in charge Bill Mack told CNBC that this case, quote, proves that we can track these people down and charge them. Now, this isn't the first major action federal law enforcement has taken in the crypto space. So you might remember back in August, the U.S. Treasury sanctioned cryptocurrency mixer Tornado Cash, which officials claimed had been used to launder more than $7 billion in crypto. All right, on to our main story. As the fallout of the FTX collapse continues to rock the crypto industry, I spoke with Samir Tabar, the chief strategy officer of Bitcoin mining company Bit Digital, about market volatility. He also laid out the benefits of using cold storage wallets versus crypto exchanges. Take a listen.
I want to start with a conversation about how to keep your crypto assets safe. Seems as though more than ever before, people are talking about cold storage. They're talking about decentralized exchanges. And I wonder if you can kind of walk me through some of the options there.
Yeah, I think you actually walked through the options. Cold storage is definitely something that I think people are waking up to. This whole problem that happened with FTX has gone on for quite a long time. These problems started with Mt. Gox, which is the very early days of Bitcoin and crypto. And so what people are starting to finally get through their heads is that if you're going to own crypto, you really should own it on a cold storage wallet. And if you want to trade crypto, you should do it through a decentralized exchange. Having said that, and we can get into it at the right moment, what happened at FTX was quite avoidable. And I do have some thoughts I'd like to share on that.
Sure. So let's talk about that. What do you think was unavoidable about the FTX fallout?
Sure. Well, just to begin with, I find it very disturbing that Sam Bankman-Fried is on a media tour right now instead of talking to the authorities. What he did was by design. He's not stupid. He went to MIT. His parents are both university professors. It takes top-tier elite thinking to create an exchange the way he did. And he's playing it really smart. He's confusing the masses, speaking to a lot of people about a bunch of things, about his philanthropy efforts, what he thinks about crypto, just saying, look, I was disorganized. I'm sorry. That's not what happened. I'll tell you, just to break it down very simply, imagine you had money at Chase, and one day you wake up and your money is no longer there in your deposit at Chase. Why? Because Jamie Dimon decided to transfer it to his own personal trading firm and potentially himself. That's what happened. That's what happened. And for some reason, there is this incredible genius campaign by him to confuse everybody, to make it sound like, look, he was disorganized. It was a mistake. That's not disorganization. He's the one that signed the checks. He knew the transfers that went from customer deposits to his personal trading firm.
And in terms of looking at what went wrong here in terms of, potential misuse of customer funds, a lot of evidence to that effect. What are the takeaways for centralized exchanges more broadly?
Yeah. So blockchain, when Bitcoin was invented, the entire point was to make intermediaries redundant. You don't need to have your crypto or your Bitcoin on an exchange in order to hold the exchange. That's the revolution behind this blockchain technology, that it can be held without any intermediary, without any custodial mechanism. You don't need that. You could use a decentralized exchange to trade your tokens. You could use a cold wallet to hold your Bitcoin or whatever crypto. That's the whole point of crypto, to have these types of mechanisms rendered useless. And what's happening, unfortunately, is these old ways of thinking of having an exchange such as FTX, where you need to trade tokens, to trade crypto, to hold your crypto. You don't need that. You could use a decentralized exchange. You could have a cold wallet. If you use those two things, you don't need any intermediaries, and it's not possible to be hacked.
So shifting course a bit and looking at the state of the crypto industry, it seems as though every few weeks we're hearing about another set of layoffs. Yesterday it was Kraken cutting about 30% of its workforce. Is there more of this ahead, or are we touching bottom?
No, I think there is more ahead. I think that there is going to be a recession that's more official than the one that we're speaking of now. And remember, a technology company, a successful one anyway, is one that doesn't use so many humans. The fact that Twitter is still working with all the people that have been laid off goes to show that a lot of software companies hired too many people. A tech company should be relying more on its technology and less on its creators. And so there needs to be some sort of reshifting, particularly in technology, and having all these humans employed. We didn't need that many.
You look at the price of Bitcoin right now, and it's at around $16,500. A year ago at this time, it was touching a record high of almost $70,000. How are you looking at the cyclical movement of Bitcoin? I know that you said that we're headed for a true recession, but with respect to crypto and token prices, do you see us coming out of this bear market anytime soon, or what are we looking at?
Yeah, look, we've been through a winter before. In fact, the last winter was even worse. There's a difference between cyclical and structural gyrations. This is a cyclical one. Structurally, Bitcoin is still the same technology it was. It's still the same revolutionary technology it was. And if you look at it from different asset classes, if you look at, for example, Shopify or PayPal, or even the Turkish and Lebanese currencies, they're down by way more than Bitcoin. If I were a person in Lebanon, I would hope to have stored Bitcoin instead of the local currency. The local currency there lost 90%. That currency is not a currency that people have confidence in. At least with Bitcoin, you know where it stands. It's audited all the time. You don't need to trust any intermediary to know the exact supply of Bitcoin out there. And it's just a really great way to store value without depending on any intermediaries or custodial mechanisms.
All right, before we go, we've got one last thing. At yesterday's DealBook Summit, Mark Zuckerberg defended Meta's strategy to invest in the core feature of Web3. He told Andrew Ross Sorkin that the vast majority of the company's focus is going toward its social media efforts. Zuckerberg added that the engagement that he has seen in these apps is strong. The CEO also noted that, quote, there's somewhat of a perception that it's not going as well for some reason, but internally, from all the numbers that we see, the metrics are strong. Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we will be back again tomorrow, so we'll see you then.